Okay.
Less is 5 minutes.
So do you, Chris?
Everybody here.
Except
Everybody
Les.
said
Oh.
Hey!
Class.
Come on.
It's really
Right on
bad
time.
when you're early and you're late.
What time does the 12 o'clock meeting?
6 minutes.
11:30.
No, we haven't started.
They were talking about you last
I
night.
didn't think I missed anything important with it back in, never mind.
Nothing important would happen without you there.
I slide up next to you. I don't want to get a couple of questions.
Yeah. No. You ask the question, I'll tell them.
Well, we've got quite a bit to do, so let's get this show on the road.
Okay.
Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's start with, do you have any comments on the minutes? Can we approve the minutes from last?
I have a change.
Okay,
I
what is
just
that?
found out under the last page, under new business in the top, I had Janet Hoover listed, and it should be married to Ross.
Well, I thought Janet was, aren't you on the golf committee?
I don't believe so. I think, you thought I was because you read it in the minutes, right?
You can be,
I could help.
if you would like.
Sure, but I wasn't officially volunteering last time.
You're on, you're on.
How did that just happen?
Yeah. So
As they
just
say in
add,
Portuguese, ambush.
Something went wrong there. Conversation.
Okay, based on that, can we approve the minutes as discussed?
I move that we approve the minutes as discussed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passed. Okay, I guess that leaves the president's report. The library director has an upcoming 6-month evaluation, and we have a proposal from Ed on a process to evaluate that involves the entire board. I think it's a pretty good idea. I don't know if you want to talk about it now, or you want to talk about it?
We can, Jay, you brought it up now.
Yeah.
You know, as you guys recall, a 6-month evaluation for the new director was put in place as per civil service. The PC sent it out last year when Elena came on. So the recommendation for the process, and it should come from the PC Committee according to the bylaws, is not for the PC to do the evaluation, but rather let me resend that out to you all with these instructions from the Personnel Committee. If you don't know something about Elena's performance, just leave it blank, okay? And what you guys can do is, during this period and our May meeting, fill it out. We'll come to the May meeting into executive session, compile all that, and I will put all, I'll list it, everybody's deal, and we'll come up to a consensus on everything else. And then subsequently, you guys will approve that after I get all that down back to you. And then when June comes, which is the time period for Elena's 6 month, Jay can review that with her.
Well, I think you should too.
Okay, then both of us review it with her. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I think it sounds like a good process. I think it sounds like it's fair and everybody gets their 2 cents. So do we need to have a motion for that? Or we all just have a consensus? It was like
Consensus, sure.
okay, so I guess you can go ahead with that.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you very much. The library audit, the fieldwork was completed in March, and we're still awaiting the results as far as I know. Elena, Ed Flem, and I were the representatives of the library, and Ed and I met with the auditors on the first day, and a couple days later, I checked in on them to see what they were doing, and they didn't have anything to report. So at this point, we have no report from them. I assume it's in process.
It is forthcoming. Suzanne Scott, who ran the audit, is not working this week. I spoke to Lynn Personal, who's the partner in charge of the audit, and we should be seeing a draft. We'll have a draft by next board meeting, I would think.
Great.
Okay.
And he really hasn't pinpointed anything that, from what he told me.
Well, when I asked him, when I sat and talked with him, I asked him, he had a couple questions he wanted to ask Elena and Greg, but he said they hadn't seen anything that bothered him.
The only thing they did bring to my attention, which was a really good point, is I do look at the payroll of the ADP. They suggested I sign off on it, as documentation that I looked at it. And I thought that was a really good suggestion. That was a verbal comment, so I'm going to be doing that.
Okay, so we expect to hear from them momentarily then?
Yeah.
Sorry. You okay, Ed?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, that's, I understand. I just want to make sure you're all right. Okay, we went to the Mid-York training program. New Hartford was represented pretty well. There were quite a number of trustees that went to the program. In fact, we won a couple raffles that amounted to, what, a couple $100?
Hey.
Couple- $75 each for two of them, right?
Wow.
No, I
At
think
least two.
3 of us won 25 each.
Oh.
We're
Yes.
not real-
Oh, I see.
75 is
Okay, so where's the party?
Actually,
First raffle I've ever won, and I don't get to win any of the money.
I want to baby
Share it with
that
the
away
library.
when I was five.
they actually gave it to us as Mid-York
Credit,
credits, so.
yeah.
Okay, I would just like to comment, just make a simple comment on the last couple of weeks where there's been an awful lot of drama with trustee Waiter, or I'm sorry, citizen Waiter, took to the newspapers and publicly criticized our action. I'm disappointed with his choices, and personally I believe it's not the way to encourage progress, but I don't see any purpose in perpetuating this by wasting any more time on it. So I just wanted to say that I've noticed it, I saw it, I don't particularly agree with it, but we're not in a position to beef about it as far as I'm concerned.
If I may just add my comments as a trustee or private citizen, regardless of the fact, I would ask the board to understand the Sarbanes-Oxley Act as it was originally put together back in 2002 and it now applies to not-for-profits. There's been a tendency by not only this board but by others out there that anybody, anytime, whether it's an employee of the library or could be of a not-for-profit, they bring something up, someone in that organizational chain tends to retaliate one way or another, whether it's intended or whatever. But I think as our respective roles, whether it's with this library or any not-for-profit, that they understand what the roles are of an employee, of a trustee, of a director, that it's very important. And under the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, I just want to let everybody here know that I've done extensive research, and it does apply to not-for-profits. But the most important thing, if you do intend on retaliating, the organizations who impose the retaliation, I'm not saying that's here, I'm just saying generically.
I'm gonna say, I haven't noticed
No,
any
no.
retaliation.
No, I'm just saying, no, I'm setting the ground stake that the Sarbanes-Oxley Act has, within the legislation, criminal action can be taken against someone who would effectively retaliate against someone. I'm just speaking generically. And whether it's our library, it could be UCP, United South, it could be any kind of organization. But the bottom line is, yes, I've been very vocal about some of the way monies have been spent, the validation of whether it's we're speaking to 1099s, we're speaking of anything else. It's the first time, and the bottom line is that whether we paid sales tax or not, I've asked for documentation to validate those sales tax payments. We have an obligation. If I'm going to be the only one speaking up, then fine. I can get hammered by anybody here, and I'm not saying that's the case. Under Jay's leadership here, we've had a much more open board, but we still have issues out there, and we still have people who think that they can just run it the way they have. Let me give you an example. We'll just leave it at that.
Can we just tone this down? Because
Yeah, that's all.
the whole idea, Ed, is that I'm not arguing with your right to say it, and I'm not angling to punish you. What I am saying is I'm a little disappointed because I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think it's the proper way to go about it. But those are opinions. So I'd like to put this to bed and get on with our business.
I think, Jay, the only thing I would ask is that, as a member of the finance committee, I think we need to be more open and have these entertained at the committee level, so we could bring this to
Okay,
the board.
I have no problem with, if you have,
John.
if you have a complaint about the way things are handled, bring it here. Let's talk about it. Let's not listen to it on the radio, because.
No, I agree, it's just that, and I'll be honest, I was asked to come on board, and they had, because they saw the editorial.
Which was equally stupid, but,
Well,
you know.
I don't have say over the observers.
No, I understand that, I understand. But those were non-stories as far as I'm concerned. Let's spend a little time solving these problems in here. Les, if you're gonna perpetuate this conversation, I prefer you to.
I just had a question, no, I'll pass.
No, you can
No,
make
that's
your
all right.
question, but I think we're doing us all a disservice by keeping talking about this. Let's solve the problems, let's not talk about how they're being said, okay?
I agree, Jay, open and communication.
Okay, may we have the director's report, please?
Yes, it's right here. We have a lot of new and very interesting programs in the library. It's in my report. We will have a fishing club with John Tarasi from our mutual friend, newspaper Udin. We'll have network communication. We'll have a lot of many interesting programs. You can read about this in my report. What I would like to pay your attention about, it's a few things. One, it's very exciting. This Friday, April 25th, our new cleaner volunteer will start. We get him from refugee center, and he will work for us for free for from 15 to 20 hours per week, PRM. And the only thing they told me, they sometimes once a month or bi-weekly give the volunteers maybe a grocery store card as small as a $20 amount. I don't know if it's something we can do here, but he will help us anyway. And
Can I just ask a question?
yeah.
And I apologize.
Sure, absolutely, Heather.
So there's a volunteer that's coming to help at the library, or was it with one of the programs?
No,
Cleaning.
it's not a programs, it was cleaning, maintenance, clean bathroom, you know. We lost our cleaner, we had one through pathways, and he find another job.
Okay.
And the grant, they has been paid through pathways, so they don't have any more money. Grant is frozen after now, so, and we don't.
So there's a grant that another group has,
Yes,
and
pathways.
they, Partways, is that?
Yes,
And who is that with? The grant, is that a group, Partways, or is it?
It's with a native county special program if you're over 55, when you live in poverty level, they put you into this program. And we have one for years, Mr. Willis, but 2.5 months ago, he find a job,
Okay.
and he is not here anymore.
And he was through this grant?
Yes,
Oh,
correct.
So this is a replacement from the same grant with Oneida County?
No,
Okay,
this
okay.
is, Oneida County is the first thing I call them and ask if they can replace him, because we lost. The answer was no, they don't have grant at this time. It's be frozen until probably end of the summer, and nobody can guarantee if it's reopen again or not. So I'll use another way to find a cleaner for free, and I find one through the refugee center in Utica. They recommend me him as a very good and responsible worker, and I interview him. I spoke with Jay about him, and he will start this Friday at 3:30. I ask Al to come, so Al and myself will show him everything, and he'll start his work. He will work for us from 15 to 20 hours per week for free. The only thing, they sometimes bi-weekly or once a month give him a small kind of grocery store card, small appreciation. If it's not necessary,
So they're doing
we
that,
can
or
do
we're
it.
do- or that's what they'd like to see
They
us
do it, it was a suggestion, but not mandatory. He will help
Well,
us
thanks for taking the
anyway.
effort to go out.
Thank you.
Yeah, the way I understand it is the refugee center will supply this fellow, and he'll come and do the work for us, and they think it would be nice if we dropped him a grocery gift card or something.
I think that's considering what it would cost us.
I do too.
I don't,
Myself.
I don't have a problem
think in
if
general,
we'll
it's-
just
it's
kick
a
in
pretty-
every month.
pretty good
Yeah,
It's
idea,
like 50
yeah.
cents
Good
a
idea.
week, it's.
Well, what would you recommend in terms of, I call it a stipend, I'm not sure what you really call it, but how much do you feel that, they would like to see us give them, or this person?
They kind of, suggest them, they did not told it's mandatory, just, he has a family with 4 kids and,
Are we talking,
I
are we?
mean, can I make a suggestion? Maybe this is something Ed wants to take a look at, because now, if that almost crosses the line and a stipend employee, and so we just want to make sure if he's a volunteer, what the ramifications are.
Yeah,
Sure,
any
absolutely.
gift in kind,
Yeah.
any
so
gift in
maybe
kind,
we-
unfortunately, may be
Yes.
taxable, no
I
matter
see.
what it is.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Now
So
it's
it has to be more random, right?
Yeah, I
Even
don't
then,
know.
you have
All right,
to watch
well,
how
I
much.
think-
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
It's a great idea, yeah.
Yeah, just, it's up
We don't
to
have,
him. It's
I
not
mean, but our
mandatory.
cleaner left, right?
Yes, he find another job,
Why don't we put this
He
guy
was-
on temporary as a cleaner?
but we don't have to pay this cleaning
Right.
who we have. It's,
It's
he
in the
has
budget.
been paid from pathways.
No,
Oh,
the other cleaner was paid from a grant that Bill Nolan.
Oh, I
No,
see,
no
I see,
more,
I see, I
it's
see, I see, I
fro-
see, I see.
frozen now.
Well, why don't we have the fellow come and do his work, and we'll have Ed look into what
We'll talk about that Friday.
we can do for
Sure,
him.
absolutely, it's
Okay.
fine with me.
Great.
Are we gonna go back at the end of the summer to try to reapply for that grant with the county?
I actually in contact with Derek until this grant will be reopened. I
Okay.
will go ahead and reapply, but now it's frozen, unfortunately.
If it would be just
So-
as easy to do, I mean, I'll donate a month, and then
I
it doesn't
will
have to go
too.
through the library, a personal donation to this.
I think
might be-
that's the easiest
I'll take a
way to
month.
do it.
Yeah,
I'll
I
take
will.
one,
That's not a
you
bad
know.
idea.
Yeah.
Rich brings up a good idea.
And I'm open to that too. I
Me
just,
too.
it's about the payroll.
I would rather do that, then you don't have any problems. The guy's coming for free, I'll take a month.
I
I
will
need
too.
some help with just personally
Okay,
help.
that's I'm by that, that's a
I'm
good
I'm with
idea.
it.
Okay,
Do we know how
anything
much
too.
a month is?
$50?
Before we said we'll take a month,
Maybe,
let's
yeah.
find out how much it
$50,
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
come up with a plan if we're gonna do that, okay, so we know how we're doing it, if you're gonna talk to Ed and, okay.
Sure.
We'll talk Friday, about how much she's gonna
Friday,
be
yes,
working
we can.
Well, maybe,
and what the recommended
you
donation
can just make
would be.
sure what,
And if
That we're
Elena
clear,
can't
as long
personally
as we-
hand the money to him, we can do
It's
it
just a
another way.
donation.
Yeah,
So donation from me, or
Yeah.
Heather, or Ed, whatever.
It's a
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah, good gift.
okay, next.
Another exciting news. In April, I met with boss's president and vice president, and next school year, starting September, we will have a special needs students group who will have clean our library and organize shelf and do another work. It will be also a computer repair workshop for, if you have a laptop or your BlackBerry or something, it's not work well, you can bring it to the library and it will be repaired for free. It will be also some culinary programs for free and everything through the process. Student needs some experience and we need some extra hands. So I thought it's a good idea. Just would like to know if it's okay with all of you.
Sure.
Well, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So it's a group from the school,
Yes.
the
Process.
students, and they're gonna come in to the library.
Right.
And so if my computer isn't working, I bring it down and they look at it.
Okay, see, for example, they will come each week to
At a
clean,
certain
to
time.
organize shelf.
Okay.
Right, but maybe twice a month or so, and it will be a flyer. Computer repair workshop at New Hartford Library. For example, if your laptop is not working, you bring them to the library, and they will fix it for free.
I guess that's my only question.
Yeah,
That the computer's not gonna stay at the library, so say if they don't fix it
Oh,
by
no, it's
4 o'clock,
in your
it gets given back
presence.
to okay, within the presence, yeah. 'cause
Yes,
we just
they
don't wanna
need
have that
experience,
Everybody's
shops,
responsible.
everything. No,
Okay,
it's a
okay,
good
okay.
point. Yes,
Workshop. Yeah.
yes, workshop, so.
First
and
come, first served,
Yes.
basically.
Culinary workshop, you know.
I think that's great.
Yeah, so
I
it's,
think
we will have. And another thing, I would like to know your opinion with, we had in past movie program, movie in the library, and some of the trustees told me that it's good idea to renew it. I have to today, after this meeting, report to Sandy Lopata in Mid-York with our yes or no. We spoken with staff, an opinion was divided. From one side, right, it's a good program to bring whole family together. Sometimes for senior citizens, sometimes for youth. It's a good, everybody like movie, especially good movie. But I learned from librarian, from Mary actually, that we had this in past and it was not popular here. A lot of our residents in New Hartford have the DVD, TV, whatever at home, and they simply not come to the library. It was very low attendance, and we should pay this month, as per Sandy email, it will be 180 per full year. So, and I'm thinking, it's not much, but it's still money. What will be your suggestion if we try to pay this 180 per year and try to restart and see if it's work or not even risk? You know?
What does the 180 get us? I guess I'm confused.
Yeah.
That's copyright. Your royalty, you can show movies in public. If you don't have that licensing, you can't show a movie
It's
to a
true,
group.
yes, it's a copyright.
So where do we
issue.
get these movies from?
Yeah, that's true for
From
churches.
New York, it's not supposed
So
to be.
you
no.
want it, so we pay the license and we get the library, or we get the movie from New York, a DVD or something.
Yes.
And then we
to
show it like in our basement.
Right.
It could be a kids program in the summer.
Room, yes,
Cool here.
because now it's be noisy, it's fun, just to be sure that you can pass. I have more copies.
Elena, I don't understand.
Sure.
I understand the license renewal, but
It's
take off
there.
like what Dan said.
Uh-huh.
Are you saying that Mid-York is asking each participating library under the Mid-York library system to pay them $180?
Right, it's 3 options here. So we can choose to pay and have or not pay and don't.
I'm confused because
Yeah.
normally if Mid-York is the
Mhm.
focal point, why wouldn't they have a master license, thus allowing all the libraries to?
Probably because of different public
Yeah,
entities.
I see
Yeah,
your
different public
point, yes.
entities.
And
cannot
you have to
send you.
pay, as I remember from the church,
See, I don't understand.
we had to pay depending on like the size of your congregation. If your
Oh.
congregation was 100 members, you paid X dollars.
Uh-huh.
If your congregation was 500 members, you had to pay
It's
more.
actually
Before we go
Because you're
any
showing
deep-
it to more people.
Before we go any deeper into
It's
this,
more.
Elena, what do you think about it? I mean, do you think it's a good idea? You think it's a
I
wild
can
guess?
try,
Good point.
but I cannot guarantee you success. If it's something I feel it will be really successful, I just go and push and do it. I'm a risky one.
Well,
But
unless
here, it's a
you're
good
jumping up and
idea.
down on the table in excitement for this, I don't see any reason we
I
should.
went
I'll
to one of those
Uh-huh.
recently at Whitesboro where they showed Nebraska, and it drove me crazy.
What do you
Crazy.
mean?
I was the
Good
youngest
side
person
or-
in the audience, and they got up and got down and went in and went out of the room, and everybody's like getting something out of their bag, making all this loud crunchy
Oh.
noises, and I don't think they heard it.
So in other words, they didn't get the benefit, is that what you're, or,
Yeah,
I'm not
I'd
sure.
rather watch it on television if you can't go.
What's
to
the-
Okay.
I think the important thing is, what's the target market here? Are we talking about kids' movies for kids? I think that
if
would
we
be
could
more
get-
successful.
Can
Is it-
differ.
From my point of view, if we could get foreign films that are shown nowhere in the area.
Yes,
I
exactly.
think we would have a market for that in New Hartford. A lot of other stuff is on HBO and Showtime
Netflix has a lot of
and
foreign
Munson
movies, too.
Williams and Netflix and,
It's about just who the target audience is.
Yes,
And
exactly.
what is the plan? Is this from, June through December, and we're gonna show them once a week or once a month, and then, who is gonna manage setting up chairs and taking chairs down and making sure they're monitoring, if it's kids' movies, you're gonna have a lot of kids, we gotta have staff there. So it's just kind of all those thought
Yes,
process,
organizational. I can handle it. We have a lot of chairs in the salmon room.
Mhm.
I just have question if it will be reasonable or not, and I would appreciate your opinion on this.
Elena, well, let's get back to what our board president asked. What are your feelings? Is it a green light, yellow light, or red light?
Yellow side, how about that?
So, caution.
But I would suggest, because you're starting so many wonderful programs now, I mean, we have a ton of activities. We may not need to add this right now,
Yeah,
but we can think about it. We can do it next year.
Yes,
If you don't do it
exactly.
this year.
Yes,
Because if we start too many new things, then
Yes,
people
it's-
get fragmented.
Well-
And if you're not excited about it, why not wait a year and revisit it?
As
That's
a,
fine.
Good point.
If it's
as
fine
a,
with
as a
it.
serious movie buff, I was leaning on her for this. It was done several years ago. I think it was done half-heartedly. I do agree we might better put a yellow light on it. However, there are a lot of movies out there which never play locally. I mean, Hollywood movies as well, and English films, as well as foreign films. They just don't get shown. How many have ever been down to Munson William Proctor when they have they have big crowds? Like what I mean in the current movie, Big Draw. So they draw audiences.
they do, but about half of
They
what
don't
they
need
put
popcorn.
on every year is on television in one form or
No, no,
another.
that's what I say. So you want to go for films that are not shown.
Why don't we monitor
I'm
it for
really more
a year?
concerned
Yeah,
about,
I would say put it off for now, but keep the idea alive.
I'm more concerned about diluting Elena's time.
Yeah, to
I
more-
am too, and with.
I think Janet hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would jump into it now, but I would keep it.
Well, I don't think we've decided not to ever do it, but I think
Right.
we've decided
Put it on
that
hold.
it's not
For now.
something that's right on top of our list at this point.
Yes, that's right. We put it on hold for now, and let's speak about what on top of our list that's really important.
There you go.
Two things.
Can I just,
Sure.
just one other suggestion,
Sure.
going back to this computer workshop.
Uh-huh, okay.
People that are gonna be bringing their computers, and a computer could be $300 or it could be $1,500 if you're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone's working on it, it may be the perception that it's a library activity. And normally in certain things like, certain circumstances like this, there's some kind of caveat that's signed that the person who's bringing their computer in, that they're aware that it's not the library's responsibility.
Yes, exactly.
So we
I
may
like
wanna
your
look at,
point.
we may
A little
wanna look at
sign.
something.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a smart
Well,
point.
we may wanna get them
mhm.
to sign something.
Sign a waiver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some kind of list, that
Should
it's
just
just the
the- yeah.
process,
Because
so.
we got the deep
protect
pockets, right? We got
ourselves.
the deep pockets.
We don't have
Yeah.
to enforce it, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
But if
it's a
they make a
good
mistake
point,
on it
thank
and do
you.
something to it,
Yeah,
we don't
Sure.
want to be liable to replace it.
Yeah, it's true, thank you.
I think the liability should be BOCES, because they must be covered somehow
Sure. They
anyway.
have.
Well,
their
I think the point
liability.
is, we gotta look into liability before we start.
Right.
And that's a good
Okay,
point,
sounds
the
good.
agreement with them, like the town has with some other
Right.
things.
Okay.
I hate to belabor the point, but Jim, I heard, that you, hey, that you see value in this. Is this something that, that if we continue doing, that maybe one of us or you could run the movie?
I've never done projection work before.
Yeah, I know, but I mean.
I will say one thing, other libraries in the area do it, Whitesboro, Ilion, Herkimer, and they keep doing it, so it must be it's working. But I just throw that up what it's worth.
Okay, I mean, again, I don't want your,
But again,
your interest to.
I think now we should.
Whitesboro did them off a DVD on a computer,
I think
but
that's
they
how
had
we should.
somebody there to talk about the film
I think we should
too.
just push it in the background.
Okay.
Okay, let's,
I'll take the popcorn concession.
You got it.
okay, let's,
Okay,
all right, Amanda, what else is on the top of your
Yes,
list?
with the top of my list, two small things I would like, but I rather send you email, not take your time now. It's a new idea, very popular in Long Island, and a lot of libraries in New York would love to start it here. It's a free museum passes for New Hartford resident in the library. For our cost, it's approximately $75 per year per one pass. The only thing, some of them kind of far away, as a Word Forge or far north. It's about from half hour to hour drive. And also we should think, I hope, I'll wait, I put it on budget next year and we can start. Another small fun things we will have very soon, starting June 1st, program for kids with special needs. It's called Kids Reading for Dogs. We have all kinds of programs, including Elizabeth said, reading for kids. Now I find one lady who have few dogs, and if, it will be carpet show because dogs has hair. But kids will have a lot of fun. So, and it's free. My question is, what do you think to be or not to be? All the pluses and minuses. It's just something like this as somebody likes. Now,
I've heard that's a very successful strategy
And going back to what
for problem
Jim said
readers.
earlier, if you feel that strongly about it,
I
you're
feel
selling it to
strongly
the board
about
and
this.
we're just gonna say,
Yeah, I feel
we think it's a
strongly.
good idea.
When you're kids and have some special needs, it's not as easy to open for others. It's not as easy to communicate. Now here you have a dog and you sit and you read for the dog. Kids have a lot of fun in this libraries who run it already in Long Island, a lot of the New York. So I would like to know, we will be the first library who would run it here in New York. If it seems okay for you, the only consequences, we need to do a lot of vacuum after that.
Where
Where
would
do
you
the
get
dogs
the
come
dogs?
from? Where do the dogs come from?
From lady, her name is, Mary Lou gave you her name. Dolores,
Oh, because you could try canine companions too.
Canine Cafe, okay. Yes, so if it's
Because
okay.
they're trained.
Yes, they
Go
are.
ahead.
So is this a
I can
one-time
check.
event, or is this an
No, it's got
ongoing
once a
week?
month.
It'd be nice if
Once
we
a
could
month,
get
I
short
believe.
hair,
So,
non-shedding
so
free.
children with special
Yeah,
needs would come in
we don't
for an
call Michael
hour
Vick,
and
he's
play
called
with the
dogs.
dogs, is
I
that?
play and read, when you have a dog near you, you can pet him and read for him, and it's kind of
He
YouTube
doesn't talk back or
open,
criticize.
yes. Yes, he just barks sometimes, but they very
a great
well
idea.
taken good. Thank
But I
you.
do have, now, I'm
Sure.
sounding like Debbie Downer here today.
Play them.
So I guess my only concern
Uh-huh.
is, if we're sponsoring this, what happens if a dog were to bite a child? I don't think that would ever happen, but
Yeah.
being the Debbie Downer that I am,
Uh-huh.
it's just about liability and making sure, is that something you may want to take a look at,
Mhm.
right? As to what our
Yes.
liability and if a
Mhm.
child, if a program we're sponsoring, or, and maybe we're not sponsoring, but how
Uh-huh.
we go
No,
forward
it's
with that,
free.
okay?
Yes,
Just a
it's a
suggestion.
good point, and prior to start it, I will check it out. I believe it never happened, but you're right, just for case, we need to be covered some. Thank you.
And
And
I'll
now-
donate a dog to the program too.
Thank you, sounds good.
that need a vacuum following.
Sounds good. Okay, now, we have a few things that need to be fixed in the library. One is our, especially front, automatic door. Some of you already noticed it. When you go straight, sometimes it's just frozen, and you need to push really hard to open this door. Sometimes it's working just fine. Sometimes it's frozen up. I contact this organization who did work for us in past. I'll try. They do have state contract. I'm not sure about 3 quote. I need to check.
Did you check and see if they were on state contract?
They did, but they not. I called them. I call them. I spoke with Michelle this morning. They have a state contract, but she was not sure about 3 quote. It's just a company.
We had a discussion yesterday.
Yes.
Because it was over $1,000 and what our policy is. And, I was mentioning to Lena that we have our procurement policy that we passed, and what we can do as a government, state contract, and if it isn't state contract, and what we need to get 3 ideas of what it would cost, and or if it was sole source. So I suggested to her to find out if they were on state contract, because that's who did the service for us before. I gotta believe it's a good shot that they were on state contract. There aren't a lot of people who do this, since I think they're at Albany, right? Syracuse. So when you call them, so I can show you how to get on the OGS website and find out if someone's on state contract.
Okay, and I actually know my problem is I don't have the time yet. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay. We just talked about that.
Yeah, and of course a little bit over my main concern. We have now Google survey for residents of New Hartford, for library patrons, and we have a question, suggestion for improvement. And when I open it, print it and read it, it's a lot of suggestion about our automatic door. So, and sometimes if you're young, you don't.
Are you saying
It's
this
a lot
company,
down there, and
which
I
is the
didn't
one
know
that
whether
could fix
the
it?
sidewalk
Is that what you're saying?
This one we use always, so it's
Well, this is,
but
Lena, listen,
I'm open it.
from a building and grounds perspective,
Uh-huh.
Heather's right. And I might add, y'all, that the limits that we voted upon for contracting are cumbersome, but very well done, okay? I mean, it really makes you think, and to do things right, okay? It does cause a lot of work and that kind of thing, but that's okay. $1,000 is the limit, and so no matter the state contract or not, we're gonna have to go out and get 2 additional quotes for this, or
And I could be corrected. Actually,
They might be sole source.
when you're on state contract, I don't think, and I'm only asking him because he does it all the time. When you're on state contract, you don't need 3 quotes, do you?
No.
No, I don't think so.
You don't? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
All right.
but even so, excuse me, we want to make sure.
Well, I think we
they
have
may
to look
say-
at our policy and make sure that how we approach this
Yeah.
Good point.
is the way it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, or ask them to
mean,
knock
you
off
need
a
to-
few extra dollars.
You
Ask them
need
to
to
eliminate the
Yeah,
travel,
yes,
eliminate the travel costs,
Yeah.
and you're in.
ask the questions and deal with them, and then we'll decide if we can do it.
Yes, I can call them.
Okay, I just do have one question. I never had a problem with the door. We're talking about the front door at the top, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it's not.
Because on
Sometimes you have to push
Wednesdays you do when you're closed, and you have all that. That's when it's hard, but you had.
Sometimes I've come and I've had to
Push it.
push it.
Okay.
Yes,
I don't
you
worry
know,
about it,
if
but-
you go inside, the
I'm not
first
feeling it.
time,
Yes.
the second one is
Okay.
kind of unique sometimes. It's the same with back door. So,
Eleanor, all this stuff that doesn't work and you're having trouble with cleaning the carpet and stuff, why don't we let Ed talk about that?
or
Then he can
Yeah, we'll
save you the trouble.
Our next
Maybe,
meeting for BG is
tomorrow.
tomorrow
At
And I'm
noon.
at noon. And, yeah, because I mean, $2,700.
It's a
Now,
lot of money.
it's a lot of money, but we have to go out for quotes for that. And we just can't, so it's something we have to
Absolutely,
discuss.
I understand.
You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that when you have a carpet cleaning issue, and the quote comes in for $2,700, before the BG committee gets it, you should get 2 additional quotes.
Okay.
And bring all 3 to the table,
Gotcha.
okay?
You know, I'll see if I can do something today. I cannot get you today the accurate estimate, but I can call the company and I provide our information. We have now 300 donated for cleaning the chairs.
Right.
It has been donated, but for cleaning carpet, and it has not been cleaned for, I believe, 6 or 7 years, so it's.
Yeah, that's great. No, I mean, if you think it needs to be done, great, it's wonderful. But what I'm saying is, before we discuss this, it becomes a very short discussion
Sure.
when you get a quote in for $2,700, and you say, oh,
Okay.
wait a minute, now I have to go for 2 more because it's over 1,000.
Sure.
It's not greater than 4,000, but it's greater than 1,000. So I'm gonna call 2 additional companies and get 2 additional quotes, and then you bring those 3 quotes to the BG committee, and we go,
Yeah.
yep, Lena wants it done, it needs to be done, we go, we'll bring it to the full board for approval, and it becomes a short discussion.
Gotcha.
All right, with Heather's input and we've got the cash.
Good.
I just have one question here, as it relates to where it says estimated taxes 8.75%, but as a library, aren't we exempt from that, or do we have
Yes,
to pay
we
that?
is exempt for that,
Okay, I
whereas
wasn't sure.
we taxed.
So they should have it included
organization.
in there.
Right,
All right.
it's a good point, thank you. Because we
Don't mind.
I'm sorry.
But you're not exempt until you give them the form, and that's why they have to put it on
Yeah.
there, so.
And I have the form,
Yeah.
but it just, yeah, it's a lot of money, unfortunately.
Okay, Lena, when you get in a situation like this and you're not sure what the purchasing says, if we need more than 1 quote, simply give Ed a call. He'll tell you what the policy is.
Sounds good, okay.
Because we want to support you with what you need done at the library, but we have to do it in a systematic and pragmatic way.
I have no objection. Okay, very quickly about what actually about your agenda. Our automatic check about equipment becoming more and more popular. First, they was used very rarely, but now more and more people, they ask if you can just stay near me whenever I use it the first time, and next time it's fine. It's working well, especially whenever line somebody who don't want to wait, they go and use. Oh, sorry, I'll touch it again. Another thing, Zinnia. Zinnia have a good news. Starting May 9, through mid-year, we will have a Zinnia. You can read any magazine you want for free. You just need to log in with your library card, create an account, and they have 256 titles to start, and you can read. You don't have your later fee, you don't have to return it, no check out. If you feel comfortable to read magazines, books online in electronic format, you will be so excited. Again, it starts in May 1st. If you have any...
Do we have to pay for this?
No, it's free. It's everything paid by New York. They have 256 titles, but if we would like to have something not on the list, just
Okay,
for
so
us.
it's a service by New
Yeah,
York. Okay.
it's enough.
Okay.
So last thing, and I'm done. The very last thing is I will be going to attend today town meeting at 7 p.m. here in Butler Hall. I just would like to know if it's anything you would like me, or better you suggest me to bring up about our library, our needs, our questions, just anything you would like me to highlight on during this meeting, if I have a chance to stay.
I would highlight a couple of things.
Yes.
One, thank the board for all their support, town council for all their support. And secondly, let them know that the additional support is very much needed, because we're finding that additional maintenance and those kinds of issues that are absolutely necessary and that have been a little bit left behind or causing a little bit more increase in our cost. And without their support, it wouldn't be possible.
Great. Very last, I'm sorry. Website. I look at that website. See, our student Chris Messenger came to final stage in upgrading our website. It will be put on WordPress. I have a meeting next Monday with Chris. Prior, I give him green light. I need to double check everything. So if you have any questions, and I believe it's on our schedule. May 29, we're planning to finalize with our website upgrade. And I read your mail, it's very interesting idea. Yes, retention records, it's under your consideration. It's just a draft, you can look on it, see if you have any questions, if it says anything you would like me to correct here. I spoke with Wanda in New York, so it seems just fine for her. She asked me to correct one thing about staff, time sheet. Because of liability law, some employee used to work 10 years ago for some organization, then something happened with her, she passed away, I don't know. Her family starting lawsuit, her employer, they believe she has been paid unfairly, it was a discrimination. It's why state, not to us, it's somewhere in California.
Okay.
It's why just by this legal lamentation law, employee time shifts not just supposed to be kept 7 years, by permanently. Please take a look if it's anything you would like.
I think the issue with the timesheets is what happens is if you have employees, because we are government, because we have retirement, right, what's happened over the years at different municipalities is a student, works for a couple of months in the summer, right? You see this especially at parks. Then they don't work for a government for another 20 years. Then they come back and they are still theoretically within the retirement system and can go back in time and apply for the retirement system that they earned when they were 16. So like tier 1s and tier 2s. And I think that's why they want to keep the timesheets to prove that they actually worked and that they signed off that they weren't taking retirement or something, or I don't know. But I think that's
good point.
But I know you updated this since you last brought it to us, and because of the IRS issues, and I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. This is very much it. If you have any questions, just let me know.
I got something, you should email it to supplement, is that?
Oh, yes, this is supplement. In case you would like to know more about our program,
chairs talk
Is this sensible?
Yes.
Is that part of the
Yes, we have,
minutes?
yes, and we have this coming Sunday at 3 p.m. High School Madness. It's a musical show, very bright, very vocal. I hope everybody will be happy. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Elena.
Okay, thank you, Elena.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shall we move into the treasurer's report, please?
Yes, anybody have any questions with what Alina sent out to?
I sent electronic report.
Nothing really unusual. We're on target everywhere. Okay, number 2, these were the bills for the check detail that you were sent. Yesterday, Greg, between the time that Alina sent you the stuff and yesterday, there were a couple of the bills that came in, and I just want to ask for your consideration. There's signing and I'll leave these here for you to take a look at. And it's only because we only sign bills once a month, right? We only approve. One of them is a regular processing fee, came a little early for Mid-York, which is $4,263. That's just normal. The Ingram, Mid-York Library System, $117.43, and this is for books. We have National Grid, our National Grid bill, which came down slightly compared to what it was the prior month. It was pretty significant. And I actually talked to Ed Plum about that as he's going through taking a look at some of our facilities, that we take a look at if there's a possible way we can drop the heat at night, or what we could do to try to bring that bill down. So he's committed to take a look at that in the next couple of months. But the National Grid bill of $1,811. Book page, $480. This has to do, again, with books. It's an annual thing. And then a refund to Judy Chaffee for something that she was charged for. It's about $37. It's a refund for a lost item found. And those are the checks that are in addition to the ones that you got in the check detail was sent to you. Does anyone have any questions? There wasn't really anything unusual in any of these bills this month.
You're on top of it.
We're on top of it. It's a team effort. Can I get a motion from the floor to accept and pay bills?
Okay,
I'll make a motion, we accept it.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Another item. When I came on the board, the main reason I asked to be put on the board for this next year was my personal interest in trying to get the library open on Wednesdays. As you're all aware, the library was closed Wednesday because we had a funding problem, and the town graciously, under the proposal of Pat Dzinski, and then the board all approved it, and we're very much in agreement to it, was to give us an extra $50,000. With that extra $50,000, we did a couple of things. A couple of things that were needed, as Ed mentioned, and we had a little more money in the budget to pay. Our building's now 10 years old, and so that's usually when things start going, right? But we do have a building fund. But beyond that, we, for the first time in a couple of years, we gave small raises of 3%. But we also were able to open the library on Friday for the extra 3 hours. But that really didn't help for Wednesdays. There was a little bit of extra money that the town gave us, kind of put it within the budget, knowing that Lena was coming on board. Wasn't necessarily my job, and I didn't want to take on that role to figure out how could we get the library open on Wednesday, because that was going to be a little more of work to figure that out, because I didn't think that I know that the town did not give us enough money for us to afford to open it on Wednesdays in totality. So I talked to Jay, and I subsequently talked to Lena at length about it yesterday, and her thoughts about it, and I think that she concurred, and she can speak for herself. What we'd like to do, and I'd like to propose this as a project for the Finance Committee with Lena, is coming up with a plan on how to open the library starting in September of this year on Wednesdays. I don't know if that's 4 hours. I don't know if it's 6 hours. I don't know if it's 12 hours. I don't know that if as we go through the process of how we staff it and where we come up with the money and what the hole is, because there may not necessarily be a hole for this year. There might be, there might not. But there would be a hole for the following year. But it's an exercise of budgeting. It's an exercise of finding out how do we move staff around. How we now have self-checkout. If it's doing well, that means the staff's doing something else, number one. Number two, you brought up today that you've got some students coming in. Sometimes, we'll see how they work out, but if they're taking on some volunteer roles, that loosens up the staff to do other things. So you kind of combine all these things. I think there's some great opportunities for us to get open on Wednesdays. I also mentioned it to our library representative to the town board, and I guess, and maybe this is partially my fault, he was unaware we weren't open on Wednesdays. And I think maybe when, we talked to them, all of the different ones of us talked to the board about, making sure that $50,000 was in the budget, that they understood that. But I never really brought it up. I never said, we're still closed on Wednesdays. So I think this might be something that, and I'm not speaking for the town board, that I think, that was partially why they gave us some of that money. And I know that Pat was really very excited when we told him we were going to be open on Fridays. So I think if I can get some concurrence here or some ideas, and part of this process, we're going to figure out what the hole would be and how we would go about funding that hole. Whether it be an additional request or fundraising, it isn't about throwing an expenditure out there without having an opportunity to figure out how to fund it. And I thought this would be a positive project for the Finance Committee to work on. Everything we really haven't met as a Finance Committee other than on the budget, because everything else really has been things we bring before the board. They weren't really necessarily reached the goal of trying to do some deep research, but helping Lena and Lena to take it. So I just ask your consideration and your thoughts, how you feel about that. You may say, I don't like it, you know, we're happy the way we
Well,
are.
you're making an assumption when you say that fill in the hole, but the point is, I think you're looking not so much from a finance perspective as far as the finance committee, is that you also have personnel committee involved, because what Alina needs to do is identify what resources are currently in use.
Yeah, and that's what I basically, yeah, and that's what I just talked about.
But taking into
Yeah.
consideration reallocation of
Yeah,
those existing
just said it,
resources,
yes.
then at that point, they would then bring what the projected cost, if any. I'm going to make an assumption, but I really shouldn't because I don't have all the facts. Normally, it should be the status quo. We shouldn't, the town graciously gave us, I think it was $50,000, if I remember
Yes.
correctly. And I think our promise to the town was that we would use, in part, I think, these funds to reopen Wednesdays. But be that as it may, I think once again.
No, but I want to correct you, we did not say anything about Wednesdays.
No, Fridays.
Oh, Fridays?
Fridays.
Yeah.
We restored the 3 hours to open up at 10 o'clock, we were opening up at 1 o'clock on Fridays to restore, and
Okay.
that was done, okay, and it may not have been really clear. I really was respecting the role of the library director who had just started, right? I was putting forth a budget, I had Ann and Greg look at it, and we were trying to build a framework. A budget's a footprint of where the board wants to go the next year, right? It's policy related for all intents and purposes. I didn't want to make those suggestions because I didn't know the staff, not my job. But that's why I think Lena, in talking with Lena yesterday, maybe you might want to expand upon our discussion and how you feel, or how you feel overall about it. I just think it's a win-win.
Well, number one, wouldn't we all like to open the library on Wednesday if we could?
Yes.
Sure, yes, it's a
I don't
good
think there's
idea.
anything wrong with this exercise of going through it, as long as we take care of all of the ramifications, being it personnel, being it maintenance,
The lights get
being it
turned on,
heat and
yeah.
light,
Yeah.
that's an extra.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's-
You know, this is, it's strictly a function of Alina as director, determining that, hey, looking at finances, hey, things are going good. We may have an opportunity to open up on Wednesdays, getting the costs associated with it and the plan together with the finance committee and bringing it to the board through the finance committee. Well, actually bring it through Alina to the board. I mean, yeah, sure.
I think there's a lot of value to go through this exercise.
Yeah,
We
no,
may-
it is.
I
We
do
may
too,
find a
whether
lot
we
of
can
things
achieve it
that
or not, we
we're
need to
not
do it.
paying
But
attention
she's in the
to.
best position to know how to reallocate her resources.
That's right.
Yes,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I need to do some math, and question is, I like the idea. My question is, do we will be able to open for whole 8 hours from 10 to 6, or it's be half day to start, and then if it's going well, we open.
It's a very
for all.
simple
It's
calculation.
only
It's a
math.
very simple calculation.
The math will work
You
that
get the
out,
money,
yeah.
it's a mathematical exercise.
Yes,
Just one
that's-
slight addition or correction. Previously, Wednesday was open till 9 o'clock in the evening. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday were 9 o'clock closings. Doesn't have to be that way in the future, but that's what it was.
Well,
We
I
can
mean,
try,
I think
just
we're gonna
not
find out rather
Nine,
quickly
but step by step.
what the
More
possibilities
based
are.
on the allocation of personnel
Right.
and the cost analysis.
I think it's a good
I
exercise.
say go for it.
Because it will then help
Be
Lena
useful.
kind of go into the 2015 budget as we work on that together with the finance committee, and it's just
Great.
a precursor.
Good, good.
It's a good idea.
I think we have a consensus.
All right.
We can go ahead and look at that.
No problem.
Mhm.
Yes, Les.
Mr. Weir, his use of terms that the town graciously gave us, the $50,000. It's like they graciously give the money to run the snow plows? I mean,
But what's the point of this conversation, Les?
never mind.
I mean, really, I'm not interested in having a discussion about semantics right now.
That wasn't my point, but I'll
I-
concede to the president.
I understand, but I see no point in having that kind of discussion.
On other
That wasn't where I was going, Mr. Webb.
Okay, sorry then.
On other open issues, I know that from my understanding, the town still hasn't or how do I say this? I don't want to say made a decision, but provide an opinion as to where they're going on the sewer, so the sewer refund. So we're all waiting breathlessly as to.
Town councilman here, maybe he might have some insight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
There's
know.
been
I know he
decision.
does.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
There's
just
no
asking.
decision made.
Yeah. So that's kind of still hanging out there. The sales tax certificate is up at the library. the 1099s. At this point, there are only 2 vendors in 2012 that needed to get 1099s. I don't know if they were given them, but I have secured the forms and I'm going to send them.
What about Hans Blomberg?
What about Hans Blomberg?
The 1099 you indicated that.
I sent it.
Okay, well, you didn't mention it, that's why.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I sent it. So that's that on the 1099s. Trying to think if there's any other open issues or questions.
I asked you at the last meeting if you prepare a detailed
And quite honestly, I forgot.
for the sales tax.
Yeah.
I'm very interested because I am concerned whether or not we are in compliance, but also too that are we in compliance insofar as when we do offer something that where sales tax has to be collected, do we have a $9 thing and we explain it to the individuals as was written by concerned citizens on their blog?
No, I read what you said, or what was in the newspaper. It's very difficult to do that with selling a cup of coffee. I believe we put something on the wall. I asked Greg to write up a 1 or 2 sentences underneath the sales tax certificate, but I will check and make sure that.
Well, I wasn't referring to a cup of coffee.
Okay, well, no, but let's be really honest. If sales tax, pretty simple what we sell, okay? We sell earbuds, okay, that's things you put in the ear.
Yep.
We sell almonds. We sell memory sticks. We sell coffee. And we this past year, because we got rid of DVDs or something, we sold some DVDs, which isn't a normal course of what we do. DVDs will be coming off. That's it. That's all we don't sell anything else. But and I know I will get you the list. I honestly forgot. I just
No.
I spend quite a bit of time at the library every week, so it's not that I've always been very transparent. I just forgot, but I will have it at the finance meeting for you next week. But we were putting something on the wall so that if it's not there, it will be there tomorrow. Underneath the sales tax certificate, that included in the sales price of anything purchased is the sales tax. So that we cover ourselves that way. I don't know that it goes so far as to ask each of our library aides that every time an earbud is purchased for $4 to remind them that the sales tax is included. I don't know that that's a requirement. If you think it is, if you just let me know where you see that, I will make sure that we'll talk to Nina and make sure that happens. I think it's about making clarification so that if someone's purchasing something that they're aware that the sales tax is included. So that's not a big issue. It's not. I mean, it's.
Well, no, it's just a thing that, or as a trustee, I never realized we were selling earbuds, or I think you said DVDs. I didn't even know that.
It was a one-time thing.
And
No, they were getting rid of old DVDs.
Yeah, see,
It
I
was
never.
a garage sale type
Yeah.
of
I
thing.
don't know. I mean, that's up to that. I don't know. I didn't know it, but we didn't have a library director. So
Oh, what?
we didn't have a library. We had an acting library director, and I don't think the board ever cared before. I'm in and out of the library all the time, so I see these things for sale. I see the thing on the wall that says it's for sale. It's pretty clear that we provide these things. Other than almonds, which some good, well-meaning staff thought this might be an opportunity, and it's kind of stunning how much money it brings in, actually. Trying to make money when we started closing early and not being able to be open Wednesdays, and they were looking for nickel and diming wherever they could to be able to make payroll and be able to keep the library open. So I can't fault staff for trying to make money. Granted, we should have had a sales tax certificate on the wall. It's a no-brainer. When I found out about it, I did not know it from anyone here. When I found out about it, I talked to Jay Wynn. About a month, several weeks later, Ed Flemeth kind of mentioned it to Jay and myself, and I had already begun filing the paperwork to do it. But had to make a decision, came to the board, had to make a decision if we wanted to do it for the year, and we did. So.
I just think that, in terms of, like I say, you mentioned almonds. I mean, if we're talking a resale operation, there was some substantial dollar amount in terms of the purchase of the almonds itself. But my concern is, do we have any record keeping as to, is this something where cost of goods sold is identified?
We actually have an inventory. Greg spent numerous hours putting it together and keeping it up to make sure that we have an inventory of items and that we're having, that we do make a small profit on it. The almonds, we actually make, the other stuff we don't make a profit. It's really services for so that a kid comes in and he's got a paper he wants to save, he can save it.
Now, this is just FYI, I guess, sales tax comes up in the school audit every year. Our auditors are constantly, I mean, this is a very small issue, but it's a very cumbersome, time-consuming issue. When we sell candy bars at basketball games, we've got to keep track of sales tax, and so the amount of money is absolutely minuscule in the whole scheme of the $50 million budget of the school, but our auditors are specific. Make sure you're doing it. So it's just a real pain in you-know-what, but absolutely necessary to get done. And I think, if I, correct me if I'm wrong, is all we need to do is, if we want to keep the sales tax included into the price of these things, is to notify the patron or the customer, if you will, that the sales tax is included, and then keep track of that. Yeah. And if we do that,
do we give them an actual receipt? If somebody wants earbuds, do we give them a receipt?
Answer that question.
Normally, yes.
Can't we just put on the receipt, include sales tax?
Yes.
On any receipt that we give anybody?
Yes.
yeah, and there has to be a posted on the side.
Then it's on the receipt.
That's a great idea.
You've got the two places.
It's a great idea.
I think that the sales tax has to be paid by the purchaser.
It is.
It is. It is. It's just included in the
Just
price.
part of the price, right?
Yes.
Instead of $4, it would be $3.75.
Right.
Now, the state does not,
Plus
No, that
No, it'd be
includes the sales tax.
$3.75 plus 25 cents tax, which is
Whatever
the
that-
price.
the state does not recommend doing that. The
Right,
state
I know they
recommends, but if we do it, they mandate that we put a sign up that says sales tax included.
Yeah.
We'll just put it on the receipt.
Okay.
I'm done.
It's just a cost benefit thing. We'll be sitting.
I mean, we know what we need to do.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Is there any, okay, so I'm done.
Okay.
Thanks.
Does that leave us, you doing finance too? Audits, grants, you're all done with everything, right?
Oh, no, I guess I'm not. You shake your head. I have, Jay and I, as part of our tour of duty this morning, in our hot little hands, now I can't find it, got a check for $272,000, which is $3,000 more than we thought a month ago, in the land section.
You guys are still here in this weather, huh?
Yeah. I can't find it,
Listen,
it's
what do
here.
you want to buy now?
Here it is, right here. Jay had to sign a declaration, which we had to get notarized upstairs this morning. So here's the check, and I will be giving
What'd
you.
you declare, Jay?
I declared that we would take it back under the same conditions we gave it to them. I know.
Right, because
I
it,
declared that I get 27% for
yeah, for the gardens. What I'm going to do is just put it temporarily, part of what we've been talking about at the finance meeting is what are our options for investing, and I've done a lot of research over the past 2 weeks as to what you can do. Actually, I talked to the state controller's office, and they said we've never actually had anybody handle the regional division, nobody ever asked the question before, which I thought was kind of unusual, because it's pretty clear. But they said, well, what do? You just go buy treasury? I mean, there are 2 or 3, and I'll be short and quick.
Yeah.
There are 2 or 3, I don't want to say approved because that's not right, or certified, but groups that actually, banks that actually buy treasuries on your behalf. Most of the school districts, it's MBIA and I can't think of the other one. It's called CLASS, and they invest totally in treasuries, and that's usually what school districts utilize. I called Mary Mandel. She didn't have the opportunity to call me back the past several days, but I was looking for who's got money, and I know Hartford School District does. But I
She's aware of your call, by the way. I was
Huh?
talking to her on another thing. She said, yeah, I have a call.
But I do a number of school districts, and they all invest in usually the CLASS or the MBIA. Doesn't mean that's the right vehicle for us, but the head of the regional office in Syracuse said, we've never actually had anybody. I said, what do you just go out and buy a treasury? Do I go down to, Lee Baldwin and say I want to buy a treasury, right? Normally, I've never seen it. I've audited hundreds of municipalities. I've never seen where they've bought a treasury. So those will be the kinds of things we'll talk about at the finance meetings. I'm still doing some research on that, how we go about that process. But what I thought, I could do one of 2 things. I can either take this check and put it in with the other Valley Garden funds that have the same restriction, same exact restriction, or I can start another money market at First Niagara and put it in. I'd rather put it just in the same bank account, but it's up to you guys what you want to do.
I'm gonna say, this sounds to me that the finance committee needs to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I need to deposit the check somewhere.
Oh,
Sitting
you
on
need
this
to
check.
know.
Yeah.
We accept the change.
We'll all put our deposit
I
slips.
would just deposit it in the main, in the other
The
account.
the
I would put it in the
yeah.
other Lally
Yeah, it's
account.
the
Why
same
would you do that for now?
restriction. Yeah, it's the
Does
same.
anybody have
It's
objection
temporary
to-
till the finance committee
Right,
Right.
right.
decides,
Get
right?
it
Yeah.
in the bank.
Get it in a bank, and, then we'll
What's
work out the
your-
mechanics. I'm not sure.
It's
how the
it's about,
percentage-
it's $271,803.
Well, maybe that we could loan some of this money to the town at 18–19% interest.
Actually, I think they can loan us, we can't loan them, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
But,
Trying to get a good
If
return
we
on it.
deposit into the one account, will it all be covered by FDIC or will it exceed the limits?
no, well, it's covered by FDIC, which is only $250,000, but we have something called collateralization, which is a requirement under our investment policy, which means anything beyond $250,000, the bank has to go out and buy treasuries as collateral for ours. So if the bank were to actually go under, we get the $250 plus their treasuries as the backup for our money. So that's something we already have with First Niagara. We have an agreement with them, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Good catch, Lynn. Okay,
Is there
we're
anything
done
else
now,
on the
right?
list? Yes.
Okay, nominating, Mary?
I have
Bylaws?
passed, I've passed around a draft of the bylaws. You can see, because I changed the font, any changes that might have been made. Any other changes are in the format that include the originals. So, on page 1,
No, excuse me, you're just bringing this as an interim review, right, or is this done?
no,
finally?
this is, I want you to take a look at it, think about it, get back to
Okay.
me
Yeah.
with any
That makes
questions,
sense, yeah.
suggestions.
Yeah, I just want to make it
Because
clear
we're
this
not
is
totally
vote on it
done with
today.
this anyway, and then at the next meeting, we will vote on the changes in total. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Building and grounds, Eddie?
Okay, guys, I've got a motion here for you guys. We have a busted printer and a busted refrigerator downstairs in the salmon room closet. They cannot be specifically identified on our asset list. They're there, we have them, they're worth nothing, all right? So, but in order to get rid of them, I'd like to make a motion that the broken printer and refrigerator valued at $0 be made as obsolete assets and disposed of.
I'll second it.
NIMO might be giving $25 for
I
a
was
old
just gonna say
refrigerator.
that.
Okay.
They'll come and pick it up.
Which we will need to buy the ticket from the town.
Yes.
Okay, we'll see if we can get
All
something.
right, I second the motion.
Okay, it's gonna give us some space to put some stuff,
That's good.
all right?
All in favor?
Is the electronic toss away this Saturday?
I don't know.
I think it is.
The
Is that the
printer-
27th or something this
You're
month?
talking about the one by the town?
Yeah, that you can just toss away the
Up in the
electronic
shopping center, you
equipment?
mean?
No, I don't think that one's by the town, that's by Joe Griffo, yeah.
Oh,
great.
The sheriff.
Yeah.
Can you take a look at that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and if we have old computer stuff
You
or
can,
any of that.
if you're a resident,
go.
you can take anything electronic and
oh,
then
they're
take
in
it.
the library.
Great, 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 great.
Just
So-
you have to sit in line for 3 hours, that's all.
I make a motion, we allow Mr. Clement to take the printer down and drive his car in line. It only takes about 10 minutes to get to the line.
We'll find a way to get rid of it.
There you go.
They
Okay?
have it back up all the way to Genesee.
Early or late.
I can make anything disappear, Les.
Okay,
Even people.
okay, next.
Yeah, okay, so, here's where we're at, with our RFPs and RFQs. We did get a response from Royal Landscaping. They have outlined for us the scope of work, so that RFP will be discussed tomorrow in Building and Grounds, and we will get that RFP out to whoever wants to come pick one up. All right, what the process will be, we'll put together a packet, a bunch of packets, and then we'll have to advertise John in the paper for it, and I'll let you know about that. And they'll come to the library, pick up a packet, and return it by a certain date, okay? Now, we also have Brandless came in with a quote for the AC heater, twice a year maintenance that hasn't been done since the stuff was installed. So that RFQ is about $2,800. So we're gonna have to go for quotes on 2 additional quotes. We don't have to go to RFP for it, but we have to go RFQ, we have to go a request for quotes on that. So, you know, if it's okay with you all, you know.
It's a request for qualifications.
Well, okay, where I come from, it's a quote, but it can be, whatever. If it's okay with the board, the Building and Grounds Committee will just, I don't wanna get, you know, into who do we contact for the quotes and all this stuff. We'll take a look at very qualified AC and heaters, you know, respected big businesses like Brandless is, in the yellow pages if that's what we have to do, and call them, give them the specifications and ask for quotes, if that's okay with the process with you all.
Sure.
Okay.
We still meet that.
I mean, there's nothing in it, you know, I mean, we're not gonna be showing favoritism to anybody, we just want good, qualified, you know, we don't want a guy in the back of a pickup truck coming, you know, to do the deal, right? I mean, we want established, okay, so that's what we'll do. And then, so next, we should have a recommendation to the board next meeting on who we decide, you know, should get the work, okay? Okay, that's all I've got for BG&T. And our next meeting is tomorrow at noon right here. If anybody wants to come, everybody's always invited.
Okay, you're still up, Ed?
Still up, personnel, okay. We already talked about the director's 6-month evaluation. There's a couple things that, from a PC committee, we need to qualify regarding discussions that have recently taken place regarding, first of all, exempt and non-exempt employees. As you all know, exempt employees are salaried employees and non-exempt are hourly. We have a provision in our policies that's been standing since 1998 that exempt employees, salaried employees who work over the 40-hour work week are compensated on time off for that time. Okay, it's called comp time. For non-exempt hourly employees, we pay them for whatever hours they work. Anything over 40 would be time and a half, and anything over 20, you know, would be whatever it is. What's been happening is that the non-exempt employees have also been accruing comp time instead of being paid for their work. And this creates problems with schedule. First of all, now we have to have somebody tracking comp time for the majority of our employees. The employee's at risk of losing money, you know, through accounting errors of time that they would normally get paid for. The library has the same risk to overpay through comp time. Scheduling becomes a problem because, you know, well, I'm supposed to work today, but, you know, I'm not, I'm off, so somebody else comes in, which causes more comp time. So hourly employees, as per policy, should be paid for the hours they work that week. Period. When the paycheck comes, we eat it. When it comes to hours. Okay.
Right.
So I've explained that, and on May 16th, I've been invited by Alina to go in and discuss these policies with anybody that might have a question about that. That kind of thing. Everybody's invited May 16th at 9 o'clock.
So what happens with those people that right now have comp time? Are we paying them?
Yeah, that should.
What are we talking about? How much are we talking?
I have no idea what's in the bank, but Alina's going to have to either give it off to them, what's in the bank for comp time, or pay them.
What are we talking, Leah? How many hours?
It depends. You know, it's individual for each employee. I spoke with Anne about this, and we need to sit down. It's why I have 2 staff meeting coming in May.
But you don't have any idea how many hours?
And May 16.
I don't.
Is it 10, is it 100?
I have no idea.
No, I don't think it's 150, 60. It's up
Total?
It's up approximately.
But not
I
per
have to
person.
double check.
But
2 or 3
total.
positions
Total.
eliminates
Total
all.
of 60 hours.
I can't hear 2
Yeah,
conversations.
First, you can finish, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot guarantee 100% accuracy, but it's about from 50 to 60 hours total.
Less than 100.
Okay.
Yes, less than 100.
So, I mean, there's no problem, you know, giving that comp time now and then stopping it at the bank, or pay them whatever you decide to do.
Yeah, Yes.
Because it'd be, you know, better for the budget, right?
Yes,
We
it's
don't,
true,
right, but-
yes.
So you're
it's
saying
true.
that we could say from this point on.
Right, from the amount of banked hours now, you know what I mean, because
can't-
they've already been banked, you know, against policy, they're already there. They hadn't get paid for them, so,
Right.
you know, I mean, for the employee's sake, if they had something scheduled to do.
Which they may have been working toward.
Yeah, and this is no fault of the employees at all, okay?
No, it's not.
Yeah, so, anyway, yeah, that's what it is. So just for your information, the other clarification that needs to be made is this. Civil service has two kinds of classifications, competitive and non-competitive. Okay, for example, a library aide is a competitive position when that library aide works over 20 hours per week. Now, what that means for that library is they may have to take additional tests, and their job becomes competitive where we, if that employee should terminate themselves, quit for any reason, or whatever the case may be, remove themselves from the library, now we must go to civil service and get through a competitive bidding process the most qualified person, okay? This becomes a more of an issue. So our policies are for all PTEs, okay, that nobody is scheduled over 20 hours per week. And it's really based upon this classification issue, which gives the library and the employee, you know, more flexibility
Yeah.
to staff ourselves, okay?
You don't mean scheduled. No employee may work over 20 hours a week.
Well, that's true, but even.
We'll start with the schedule.
We'll start with the schedule, but now there is an exception to that rule by the civil service, okay? For a extraordinary duty, for example, the audit, okay? That is a one-off deal, so if the employee working on that audit is a part-time employee, the civil service recognizes the fact that they may have to work over 20 hours for a certain period of time. Same would hold true, for example, if we've had 2 employees out sick and somebody's got to double up and that kind of, they understand that. So the extraordinary is okay, but routinely, and that's where the schedule comes into play, is that scheduling is not to be made over 20 hours per week for the part-time employees, okay? So I just want to make that clear, should you hear anything like that, those kinds of things. Number one, hourly people get paid for what they work. And 2, our part-time employees, based upon policy, it's already in there since 1998, that they are not scheduled or do not work over 20, and that's really associated with civil service. Okay? I may confuse everybody, because I'm...
Ed, I think we all appreciate the fact that you dug this all out and fixed it.
Okay. That's great. So other than the 6-month review, that's what we've got. Our next policy committee meeting is Friday at noon, and again, you're all invited right here, same time, same place.
Okay, Ed, you want to talk about the technology meeting?
Okay, I'll make it short. We had our first, on April 18th, last Friday, we had our first Technology Transparency Committee meeting in the Coruscant room at the library. The attendees were our board president, Jay Wynn, myself, Judy Jerome, who is I asked to come on board as a citizen participant. Everyone, or for those of you who know her, for those of you who don't, Judy Jerome was the former executive director at the Hartford Public Library for a number of years. She was a Fulbright scholar, going over to England, working for several years, and she in turn had set up, from what we heard, I think, Jay, 67 automated, her area of specialty is information technology, and she had set up 67 libraries as it relates to the area of technology. There was an agenda, we handed out, we pretty much, well, let's go, and our library director, Elena, was present as well. Elena did provide a background on the crayon kiosk, which I think she held everybody spellbound again. I know she briefly mentioned it. I do know that Judy Jerome, one of the committee representatives, was just ecstatic, and she has to see that independent or after the meeting. And Judy, by the way, is a blog writer for the Utica Observer-Dispatch, and she has mentioned to the committee that she would be open to writing very favorable blogs on behalf of what is happening at the Hartford Public Library. So there's more to come on that. As Elena mentioned earlier, she did mention about the library webpage in conjunction with the NBCC students. And there will be an update from her in May. Elena has been working with the Fujitsu Corporation. They've sent some information. We're waiting for some follow-up as it relates to scanners. We're trying to bring the library into the age of automation. And one of the things that I have appreciated as a trustee is the fact that we are now getting, for a short time now, information that is being sent to us by way of email. And I really appreciate that. You know, and then we should all be, as trustees, coming prepared to the meeting, and I really, really appreciate that. What we need now is to take some of the records that are currently in the library and trying to find ways to store this information in a way, using a methodology that's been tested and proven. And Fujitsu may have the answer, we're not sure, but they are going to be providing some information to our library director, and then she will come back to the committee, and in turn will come back to the board for any recommendations. One of the things that we did discuss, an automated clock timing mechanism. Judy Jerome had implemented this at the Dunn Public Library. From what I understand, what the committee understands, although she will be giving us updated figures, and she'll be working with Elena on this, it is a cost-effective method to record and keep historical data on employees. Whether they come in, they take lunch, they go back. It's one of those things that I think, in judging by what, when I did go in 2012 to Long Island, they are not only using automation to record employee time worked, they even have these fobs, much like we have for our cars. They just scan it as they come in and go out, and that's the way of the world. One of the nice things about automation is that some people may have the RTC factor, resistance to change, but the bottom line is that, you know, this is the age of automation, and Elena, as the library director, we as the board, we have to have some degree of comfort. And it's a way to retain these records. It updates employee timesheets. It does it automatically. There is a cost, but that is something that's going to be worked between Elena and Judy Jerome with a recommendation at our next technology meeting, and we'll review it, and then we in turn will get consensus whether or not we wish to implement it or whether we don't wish to implement it. But at least we're moving in that direction. And I think it's a very good tool that could be used, but then again, it's discussion only at this stage. The committee discussed the feasibility of an, well, Jay and I, sorry, I called it VDT, he called it LED, and I like his words better, LED display in front of the library lawn. Heather did mention briefly before we started the meeting, there might be a concern with codes. I will look into that with Joe Booth to find out whether or not we can in fact have a LED display. From what I understand, unless one of the trustees here have personal knowledge, we may be the first if we do go that route. That's down the road. If we were to go that route, we may be the first library in Nevada County that has such a feature. I did give examples of what you may have seen going down the north-south arterial by the old Scheitelman building, or I think it's in Yorkville, across Holland Farms, we had this lit LED display. Time will only tell. We'll see. We're going to be inviting individuals to give a presentation and just get more information, but that's, you know.
I think it's primarily because the library's in a residential district. It's not in a commercial district like the old Scheitelman's is.
Yeah, and you know, and if that were the case, we may go to, you know, if the board were to recommend the adoption of an LED, who's to say that we can't go to the board and ask them for an exemption or a waiver? I don't even know if one's available, to be honest with you. But I would rather ask Joe Booth in advance and say, let us know if we're going down the right path here, rather than all that waste time. I'd like to thank Heather for that comment, because I wasn't aware of it.
Big Apple Music has a big one.
Oh, they do? Oh, wait, this would be, in fact, gee, if I recall, oh, that's right, Judy did have an example of some other library, and it was done like with a stone base and everything. It was actually quite nice.
And basically, it said all the things, they could program the things
yes,
that,
Jay, please speak.
that were all, we stick out in the library on these little sandwich boards.
Well, I mean, NBCC
Put all that
has
stuff on there just.
NBCC is here, yeah.
And Jay, and I'm glad Jay brought that up, because thank you, Jay. that all these little signs that we currently exist, it's labor intensive, all this information can be just keyed right in from the inside of the library. The last thing that we were looking at is, in fact, Jan had a little fun earlier. It's called this radio frequency installed device, RFID on books. Our committee did discuss this, and Elena gave us a heads up on what we currently have, where it's individual books under a scanner, correct? And what this RFID, and there's a cost to this, but it can take a multiple number of books and literally check them out. And at least that's what was presented to the committee by Judy Jerome. It's something we're looking into, whether or not we go down that path. She's seen demonstrations. She will be coordinating an individual to come to the committee within the next month or two. We'll invite the whole board to look at this if it's still desired. And we're looking, if we make a recommendation, the big question is, how do you fund it? And that's the $60,000 question. But we've had a lot of great interaction on this. We had other issues, not issues, but other areas we were looking at, but these were the three that stuck out, I believe, Jay?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Three more important. And like I think Janet said, to compliment her, to parallel her comment, there's just so much, and we felt these three were the more important ones to concentrate on. Initially starting with the employee clock, and we'll move in that direction. We started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we got done at 2:20. I thought it was a very good meeting. I will say this much to the committee, and much to my surprise, because Elena brought it up, Judy Jerome brought it up, I was not aware that people who come into and we're not blaming anyone, pointing fingers, but patrons who come into the library, we are susceptible to, on average, $2,000 lost in library materials. I didn't know that stealing goes on in libraries. I never knew it until we heard about it at the committee meeting. Now that's on average. So I would imagine if you're a bigger library, it could be more, but that's where this RFID comes into play. And just hypothetically, Jay and the committee, we were there, what's the payback period? Because we heard a figure thrown out there about $7,000. Well, payback is roughly 3.5 years. And like I say, much to my surprise, I did not know this was happening, but it's interesting that as board members, we identify that there is loss, much like we go to a grocery store. There's, so it's something we all learn.
Shrinkage.
Shrinkage, yes, shrinkage, thank you. That's all I have to report on the committee. I will be sending out a listing of our meetings, future meetings, and I just want to coordinate with the committee first, and it will be sent out to the entire board. And as Trustee Ed Fleming said, you'll be invited, if you can make more than welcome to have you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Jim?
Okay, I have a few hats, I'll keep them all very brief. First of all, the Sunshine Fund is constant, no need for it yet, thank God. Secondly, the legislative breakfast will be tomorrow morning, 7:30 to 8:45. We have about 13 or 14 acceptances. Other people could not make it, but pretty good turnout. First time in years we've done this. We're going in at 4 o'clock today to set up. Elena's going to let us into the library. And we're going to set up for tomorrow morning because it is rather early to
Going
start.
through the broken door.
Aha!
Over the dirty carpets.
Over the dirty carpets.
Get them cleaned, Ed.
Get them cleaned by then. I would like to know how many of you might be coming tomorrow morning, because we have to plan for refreshments and the like. Can I get a show of hands? Oh my Lord, you all gonna come in? How many people? 1, 2, 4, 5? Okay, okay.
7:30 a.m.
7:30 a.m. to 8:45. We're going to keep it very informal. We used to have tutorial sessions and audiovisual things back when we were raising money. We don't need to do that. Main purpose is to introduce our new library director and to let these legislators converse, socialize with each other, and enjoy the library.
I think one of the most important things, since we did come to a consensus today, is to mention that our big goal is trying to get the library open on Wednesdays.
Oh, I'll be glad to mention that.
Because community projects are really important, some of the things we do at the library, but that's the big enchilada.
I'll be very glad to mention that.
I think that should come on the back end of a thank you to them for all their support.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so I'm going to assume most of you will be there tomorrow.
You
Connie,
gonna take attendance, Jim?
not really,
Okay.
except for the food. Connie Stevens has volunteered her time and her efforts, as she used to do years ago when she was on the board, to help us put together the food and the drink and so on. So we will have a continental breakfast. All right, now my third and last okay. Activities of the Friends. They're right now planning their miniature golf tournament, which is scheduled for October 18 of this year, October 18. At this point, they're working on getting people to set up the holes and design things, trying to get more people involved. The ice cream social in July will be on the 9th. That would be a Wednesday. And recently, they have had a bake sale, as they are wont to do. They've raffled off a doll, and a doll, they're trying to make more money, and they're doing quite well. And with the help of Elena here, we had how do you pronounce it, Pelmeni sale and offering. I guess there were pierogies too, weren't there?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess you made quite a bit of money on that, didn't you?
340.
We made quite a bit of money because Elena fronted all the stuff.
Well, that wasn't,
And they sold out,
Yeah, it's good.
so it was very successful. It was called, with her credit, A Taste of Russia. So beside her own gifted personality, she showed us some cuisine from Russia too. Okay, the Friends at their last meeting did have the election of officers, and there is a meeting this Saturday. The April meeting will be this coming Saturday at 10 o'clock in the large group room in the library. You're welcome to attend. I think a lot of you take the Friends for granted, but they're not to be taken for granted. They do a
Who's the
lot.
president now?
Sue
Is
Fulton.
it still Sue?
Yeah, they re-elected pretty much the same staff. They're very active, very interested, and very hardworking about making more money, which is good. And one last thing, I think, and I'll be through. How many of you might have magazines, I wonder, that you could contribute to the library? You notice how many magazines had to be taken out because we didn't have the money. A few of us give magazines to the library. For example, I take Entertainment Weekly, I take New York, and something else, and I read them quickly and I donate them to the library, so they're back on the shelf. And if any of you have magazines you would like to contribute,
Well, I think we talked about this, and I think it was Rich actually who led the charge about sponsorship opportunities of individual magazines. And I know Lena had
And
just
that's-
started, or maybe she wasn't
Okay.
here yet.
that's being posted already.
Okay.
That's been done,
We do Boys Life, I think, and In Fisherman.
yeah. So if any of the rest of you or know of other people who would like to contribute magazines, they're more than welcome.
Lena, maybe we could get something in the town crier in our section
Yes,
saying,
okay,
right?
Okay.
Sounds cool.
And the last thing I have,
Now, you're talking about new subscriptions or just,
well, new ones if you want to sponsor
or
them.
how old are you talking about magazines?
Well, for example, I give my current ones each time and they mount up.
Jim? No, but, and I've got old magazines around. How old?
Oh, I think the one, no, not
You just
that.
want
Current.
current? Okay.
Current.
That's yours, this.
Not my old one?
Les?
The only suggestion I would do is contact Margaret, because she handles the
Yes.
magazines, and like I
Okay.
bring some stuff in, she says, well, here in the way, I would you put those in the trash bin? With a lot of magazines I bring in, no, I'm just teasing, but I've donated several issues, but I also bring her ones that are kind of like Rotary Magazine, which is a good magazine. And she likes to make that available, but some of them I've written down, she said, no, I don't think so.
No, but it's good to go by Margaret. She's very attuned to this and she handles it. And just talk to her if you have any questions.
What about newspapers too? Like, do you get Moody's or any of those?
I don't know much about newspapers in the library. We get the daily
I
paper.
mean, if somebody gets, you know, some financial magazine, it wouldn't break your heart to have it be a day old. Since
Oh,
you-
no, but I would check with Margaret again about that one.
Well,
One last,
obviously, the best way to do it is to check with Margaret and find out what she's
Right.
looking for, what she needs, and what the
Exactly.
restrictions are.
Yeah,
Exactly.
when I was putting together my donations, she said, well, we could use Kiplinger's, and we can use money, and we can use, so I said, okay, I'll donate that subscription, that subscription, that subscription, so she didn't have to use her money, she could use it to buy other ones.
yeah, see, she knows what there's room
Okay, that's
for,
good.
and she knows what there's a need for. One last comment, the Friends donated $100, they're always donating money and giving us money, big and small. They donated $100 to the library for magazine subscriptions. I assume Margaret was already on top of that in handling it. And that's it.
Okay. Rich, why don't you talk about the golf thing? Unless you got something about legislative.
No reporting within the record that I really haven't been involved in, unfortunately. The golf tournament, we had to change the date because Janet was kind enough to tell us that we scheduled it for July 13th, which is the Boilermaker.
Ooh, wow.
Which is a problem. So I called the golf course and we just chose a new date today, which is the 14th of September, and I'll confirm that with Frank this afternoon.
I'm afraid it's gonna rain that day.
We're still having it.
That's a bad
No
thing to
refunds.
say. I think our goal still is between $10,000 and $15,000 net. We did raise the price a bit, but we still think it's very affordable. I, for instance, have 3 foursomes already booked, just friends and neighbors and things. So we'll have more to talk about as we progress here, and lists and targets. And Mr. Fleming did a great job with the flyer that he's gonna finalize this week. And he's offered to get them printed for us as well at his expense, which we really appreciate. So we'll have more to tell you, but it's the 14th, and we will be looking for volunteers that day for specific activities and different things we're gonna need, registration, and as we get going, which, you know, board help is great.
Yeah, the key to, and, you know, Rich, you've just done a great job organizing this thing. Key to success is gonna be y'all's support. You know, golf tournaments there's so many different facets to try to put one together. And in order for them to be successful, we have to fill it up with sponsors and with players. You know, so we're really gonna be looking for, you know, your help regarding that, guys.
Yeah, just like the raffle tickets, we gotta get out there, we gotta sell this golf tournament, and we'll do it. I know we will.
One last thing I forgot, I'm sorry. I wanted to thank.
You lost your turn.
Okay. I wanted to thank most of you who contributed for the cost of tomorrow's breakfast. We have enough, I think, now to cover. Thank you very much. You already did.
Okay, that puts us in, are you fellas done?
Rich, that was the 14th of February, the golf tournament.
Okay, John, you're up.
At the last meeting, we tabled the policy on the internet use and said that any comments you had would come back to me. Well, there were no comments at all. So what we're going to do is reintroduce the same document since there were no comments again. But 3 things are happening. I'm going to pass out. I asked you to bring your old one, so you know we're starting from the. But I have some. I brought some. Here's some of the old. We're now going to call it the Internet Use Policy. I got some changes, but I want to give you.
Has everybody read this thing?
I have.
Have you read it? Yeah, it's the same thing that you
Just want to
had
make sure that
for the
we're.
last meeting.
Yep.
Now, we are changes. I am making some changes to the old one, and this is what they are. We have the old document, which is public use of the internet. Okay, here's what I said. Public use of the internet is the old one. The old one, internet use policy is the new one. So, I'll tell you the differences between the two. The new one, we're changing the name from The one you saw last time was public use of the internet policy. We're changing it to internet use policy. We think it's easier for the public to look up internet, to find it, rather than look on
Okay.
public. So that's one change. The other is, in the old document, the word library existed with a capital L. In 2 places, it should be an all L, a small L. That was changed.
We're really talking about this in the board meeting, right?
And the other was distributed, unsolicited advertising was now made with a dot. It was pulled out. So those are the changes between the two. So I guess I'm looking for a motion to,
So there was an objection last time, and there've been literally no changes, and now there's no objection, is that?
What was the objection?
don't know.
Mr. Wader
I
was
was-
gonna review it.
Oh,
And he was gonna come to us with a proposal, I thought.
And
Is that
nothing
not,
happened.
maybe I'm wrong.
That's correct, no, that's correct. And-
So we're resubmitting.
Yeah, and I'll just let it go as is, with one exception here. We need to correct, in the Hartford, it should be FORD, not FOED.
Oh, where'd you find it?
Which?
Now, right here, right here.
All right, can we have a motion to
I'll make a
accept
motion.
this?
Internet use policy.
I'll make-
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, done. So, who,
I'm certainly glad you made those changes.
I didn't hear who motioned.
I did, Heather.
That's second.
You did.
That's it.
Well, that's good.
Okay, you have anything else, Ed? Since we rushed you through that?
No, I think
Okay, that's-
I sent out a memo, the status report for the board.
Oh, where all the different policies are? Okay. I
No, they're really extra.
I don't think I got one
What?
of those.
don't think they debated on that.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
let's have the ad hoc committee reports. Kevin, you have anything to add today?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
First thing, I don't know what my committee's supposed to do, but we haven't met because we don't know what we're gonna do, but, so we need more definition on that. The second thing is, which hasn't been mentioned, is that the town crier that comes the first of the month, like clockwork, has the second and third page is New Hartford Library, or third and fourth page.
Right.
And they do a marvelous job of getting it out. And Ed Flem, I'm suggesting you put a little flyer in there where you're writing your golf tournament, and your golf tournament. Just tell them at the library, and they'll squeeze it in.
That's
And
right, yeah, we talked about that this morning.
That's
We're
free
gonna give her-
publicity, and
Yep,
it's
yes, sir.
great.
Good idea, Kevin.
Great.
Yeah, so that's all. My end of my report.
I liked it. Litigation is nothing to report. We talked about the golf. I had listed here, just because I didn't know where they were going, was this, all this stuff about computers running XP.
Oh,
We decided that wasn't a problem because they were in captive computers, not on the internet.
then that'll be part of it.
Part of technology, okay, fine.
I don't think that has it.
All right, we were talking about the email newsletter. Anything happened with that? No, it's just one of those, rolls along until we wake up. Okay. There's a problem with the library printer, which I'm sure Ed has heard all about.
But not with I mean, there's a broken one, but I didn't hear that there's a problem with the one that's working.
There's a printer in the, there is one of the library printers that they use all the time that is becoming unreliable and costly to repair, and there was a discussion about repairing it, and it seemed that, or about replacing it. It seemed that the discussion, the way I understand it, revolved around, do we look to the future and buy something that will scan and do everything possible, or do we just worry about the budget at this point and replace the printer in kind for $300 versus
Well, I mean,
$1,000?
well, the process, again, the process is simple. You know, if the director thinks she needs a new printer, get a quote. If it's over $1,000, get 3. And bring it to the building and grounds.
No,
and bring it to the board, right?
Well, yeah, and I think, and I talked to Lynn about this, she asked me what I thought about the $300, and I suggested to her, you know, what is it you want it to do? You define the need, then you come up with a plan. So I think she was just working on trying to define what the need could be and should be, and that's.
Okay, I put it on the agenda because it was rough floating around out there and I didn't know what happened to it.
Well, Ed, there's also another alternative,
Right.
and that's that the printer companies charge per copy.
Right.
And put their printers in our store.
Well, obviously, that's something that needs to be thought about.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Second? Thanks, everybody.
Janet, we're still on, are we?